Everybody to the SB Bridge Show with Suzanne Plumley that we do here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central. We have a great guest today. I appreciate that you tuned in to our YouTube channel and so on. So over to you, Suzanne.
Hey, thank you so much, Emily. It is so great to be back to the Esprit Bridge 2.0 today. And for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about something that's very important to me. And that is all about talking to ourselves in a very kind way. So often we say to ourselves, that was so stupid. I don't like this mistake. Why did I do this again? And we talk down to ourselves. There's enough in society making us feel bad about ourselves. Why do we want to add to that and put ourselves down? And today's guest is Tiffany Colvin, and we're coming from the spiritual side of this and why it's important to understand that we're not a mistake being autistic. And the fact that we learned later in life that we are autistic meant that we did the best we could all through our lives, adjusting and making the changes, but that doesn't mean we're bad. So for now, this is a shared experience. We're going on this journey together, coming together as late diagnosed autistic women, knowing that we are here on purpose. And my guest today is going to help you understand it from the spiritual side of life, which is very close to my heart. I wrote a book a couple of years ago in 2020 called Dating for the Christian Minded Woman. And I think that it sits very close in my heart, the spiritual side of life, not the psychology all by itself. There's a mix together, the yin and yang of things that go together. It's not all one side, it's not all another side, it's together. And today I have a special guest, Tiffany Colvin. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about you?
Absolutely. My name is Tiffany Colvin. I'm an author, the author of Your Daily Ticket, which is a 31-day devotional on finding purpose. And I am the proud mother of twin sons who are on the spectrum. And so in my book, I talk about all of the challenges that I faced in order to get their diagnosis, the losses that I went through in life, and my own personal journey. So it is a pleasure to be here. It is inspiring and encouraging to see young men and women who do not allow the label to define them. And I am so grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it's not a label. If anything, it's an explanation to help people understand, to give us the extra grace we would like to receive, the extra respect. No, we may not always act like you, but that doesn't mean we're wrong. And that doesn't mean that we would hope you would understand we're not going to conform to your way of thinking all the time. We are unique individuals. And at that, I'd like to get into the very fact of God created us as autistic on purpose. It wasn't a mistake. You're not a mistake. You don't need to be fixed. You have a special brain, a special way that your mind works and things that through logic. And oftentimes it's quite literal. We say what we mean what we say. And that can be a benefit to many people who are listening. We don't beat around the bush or we are not settle. We will tell you what we're thinking and how we're thinking it. And the positive side, which I've gone over a couple of times, is I like to think of it that we're also problem solvers. We are observing life on a daily, minute by minute basis so that we know how to fit into it. That doesn't mean we're going to mask ourselves to be exactly like everybody else, but we are going to try and adjust so that everybody, including ourselves, are comfortable, and that includes how we talk. Go ahead, Tiffany, take us from there.
I love what you're saying. It is so important that every individual in life understand that they have a God-given purpose. And as time has progressed in my life, I start to look at the the disability not as a disability, but a giftability. It is a gift that God has given, to that person and to the world. And how dare we challenge the genius of who God is by diminishing their value, their abilities, their ability to progress in life, to stand in their own skin and tell the world who they are, what they were created for. So I am with you. We are alike in spirit and understanding that God creates us for a purpose, for a reason, for a season, for such a time as this. So I encourage any listeners out there to understand that sometimes we have to have the label for us to be able to show the world that it is a limitless label. Don't be limited by the label, but look at it as an opportunity, a gift. It's just like at Christmas time, sometimes we have to put a label on the gift so we know who it belongs to. And God did that in your case.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an acceptance. It
Yes.
really, when I found out at the age of 51 that I was autistic, I wasn't sad about it because it was an acceptance that I finally could be different for a reason. It wasn't different because it was the way my genes kind of didn't fall in line. No, it was for a reason. And I tell the story of how I felt like originally, the way I grew up, I felt like a red delicious apple to the Fuji apples that my brothers were. But as soon as I found out that I was autistic, I became a green apple. Completely different, but equally as good. And I want to help others understand that we are not less than. We are
Yes.
not, in comparative purposes, we were never intended to be less than anybody else. We're meant to be different. I have a cup that says different, not less. And I take that around everywhere to explain to people, don't consider me any different than you. I just think differently than you do. That's all the difference that there is. Not less than, different than.
Yes, yes, that is so good because the world needs to understand that we have people that are walking this earth that I call subject matter experts because those with gift abilities, they are experts in something. My sons, they're experts in sports. They can tell you who all the people on the draft, what team they play on, where they go. I meet people all the time. I meet children. I know one little guy, he is an expert in cell phones. From a mile away, he can tell you what your cell phone does, its functionality, when it was created. It is amazing. So what I want to encourage our communities to do is understand that these people that are gifted need to be placed in places in their businesses that, hey, I've got one kid, he knows everything about vacuums. Utilize these gifts. Don't diminish them. Don't say, you know what, they can only be the paper bag packer at the grocery store. No, know that they have a purpose, know that they have value, and they are assets to our world.
Absolutely. We do have a purpose. We have a special hyper focus on a particular category. For me, that comes in the area of crafting and writing. I can put words together, and people are like, wait, an autistic person wrote this? Yes, an autistic person wrote this. And you know what? How funny that you should really resonate with us because it's actually is not funny because we can observe life with such a keen focus that maybe you didn't even notice what you were feeling until I put it into words. I write for a community called the Golden Girl Gang, and I've written A to Z on building a community. And I can't tell you the number of people who are like, you put into words what I was feeling, but I couldn't put into words myself. That's because we are keen observers. And for me, my gift is writing and crafting, and that's where my special interest comes. But I'm tending to find that I'm enjoying talking and speaking and advocating for others who don't have the voice. And
Yes.
that's where I feel great when I can help others. The
Yes.
way we speak to ourselves. That's, as you can hear, I have yet to say anything negative to myself about what I can't do, because I don't focus on what I can't do. I focus on all the things I love to do. And that's the key right there. That's what God wanted us to do, is to love our life, not diminish it. Go
Yes.
ahead, Tiffany. What would you like to add?
Yes, I totally and wholeheartedly agree with you. You know, in the spaces and the places I get to go, I get to meet people with gift abilities, whether it be from a car accident, whether it be from cognitive delays. But the common thread is this, is that when we don't just sit back and say, you know what, I've got, X, Y, or Z diagnosis, and we say, you know what, it doesn't matter what the world says. My Heavenly Father has placed a gifting in me, and I'm going to utilize it. I got to meet a young lady this week who had been through a terrible car accident, having become paralyzed and was unable to walk. She was in a wheelchair, and it was just so awe-inspiring to see her not sit on her duff and say, "You woe is me." She created an opportunity to go out and witness to people, to serve the homeless in her wheelchair. And we say one person walks and one person rolls, but she's able to go out and do those things. So I just encourage people not to allow the stinking thinking of life to set in, but to get up. And my motto is this: go get God. I say go after everything that God has for you. Get busy. Don't sit there. Do something. You have to do something. And then know with God, all things are possible. So he cannot fail. You are his child, so you cannot fail. And so I am just blessed to hear you and what you are doing. And I say thank you, and I applaud you for what you are doing and how you are servicing those individuals that may be sitting at home and saying, you know what, I can't do anything. You are that example. I say that God places people in the earth to show and remind us each and every day that we have purpose. There is purpose in our pain, that, hey, we have no excuse. Get up, do something, go get God.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what? It's that little voice in us that says, I'm more than this. I can
Yes.
do this. And that's what I tell everybody each week. And as I stand on the neurodivergent side of the forest, I'm like, come, I've walked over this bridge 100 times. I've found people who will welcome me. And I've introduced you in 1.0 to all the wonderful people who will be bridge builders to you, who understand that you do think differently and that you have the gifts because you think differently. And that's the important thing. If you stay at home and say, I can't go to parties, I can't work, I can't, those I can'ts, well, according to Henry Ford, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Right.
And that is the big thing. And I found myself last week saying, as I prepared to get ready for a transition to another state, I kept on saying every time it got overwhelming, I said, I can do this. I can get ready. I can be there. I can. And if you keep saying I can over and over in your mind, it gives you the momentum to keep going. If you say I can't, I don't want to, or I'm too tired, well, that's sabotaging your effort before you even begin.
Yes, yes, yes. And that is so true. And a little bit of a backstory about myself is I had been going through life, everything was great, and then all of a sudden life happened and I was faced with a disability. And so I know what it is to sit there and say, you know what, I can't do anything. And I remember the days when the only thing I could do was to get up and maybe take a bath. and that was it. And so start with that. If that's the one thing you can do that day, do that. But each and every day, begin to expand the territory of what you do. Get up and think about it and ask God, say, you know what can I do? If it is starting a podcast, if it is just talking to others. Sometimes what I do is I will scour the internet. I will join Facebook groups and just begin to pray for people, because as you understand that you think about other people, as you pour into other people, God pours into you, and you begin to explode with joy and happiness and peace, and the understanding that, hey, maybe God just has me here to hand out a word of encouragement to people. And so, again, what we're both saying, do not diminish down. Do not just sit there, because your life is important. And I say we have a date that starts our life, and we have a date that concludes our life. What we do with the dash is so important. It is so important. And I love that you talk about the bridge, because a lot of times we feel like bridges, they may go up and sometimes they come down. But the thing is this, is that God is the author and the finisher of our faith. And as long as we have faith to bridge the gaps of when we feel like we cannot make it, then we have the greatest structural support we could possibly have. And as we saw a few years ago, we saw a man-made structure that failed, but in God, we can never fail. So I thank you. I thank you for using the bridge as an example to show us each and every day. And even as your viewers watch your show and see this bridge, know that you get to cross over it. And just like you said, to go into that forest, and sometimes when we get into the denseness of a forest, we feel like, I can't make it, I'm going to give up. But there are people that are out here that are sharing their stories, that are sharing their testimony, and they are saying, you too can make it.
Exactly. And I stand here as a torchbearer. I'm holding the light to say, come, I can support you. So often people feel like there's no support out there, or nobody understands me, or nobody, and it's because they're not allowing themselves to look for the people that God has put on this earth, to look for the torchbearers. Because when you sit there and say, woe is me, no, you're not going to find them. But when you say, well, what else can I try? What else can I try? And I have been, ever since I learned at 51 that I was autistic, I stepped up and said, okay, now that I have another piece of my puzzle, and yeah, that is the way I operate. I work on jigsaw puzzles. Not everybody likes the concept of jigsaw puzzles with autism, but I really like the concept, because a jigsaw piece does not work by itself.
Yes.
It's one fragment of life. This bridge represents connection. It doesn't represent a single puzzle piece. You are a single puzzle piece, but there are so many pieces that go around you to make a beautiful picture. Yeah, maybe it is hard by yourself. I get it. I was here put on earth to understand all about how families can be dysfunctional, but hide the dysfunctional under the rug. And I believe that I was put here on this earth because in a family that I was put into, to want to break the generational cycle of women not being accepted as strong as men. That's my background story. I saw 4 generations of daughters who were not respected as kindly as sons were. And when I had my 2 daughters, I said, no. I know how I was treated. I know how my mother was treated. I know how my mother's mother was treated. And I said, no, that stops with me.
Yes. And that's good.
I'm put here as a truth teller to say, no, we have a right to our feelings. Yes. But that doesn't mean we use our feelings to diminish others.
Yes, yes, yes. That is so good because even the word of God says he's not a respecter of persons. So it doesn't matter disability, it doesn't matter gender. It what matters is that we put our wholehearted faith and trust in him and our will in his hands and we surrender. We don't try to, make it through this life all by ourselves, but we say, you know what, God, I need your help. Help bridge the gap in the places and the spaces where I can't do it. And for those people that are out there that may have recently gotten a diagnosis, understand this. It is not limiting. Do not be limited by the label, but know that we serve a God that can do exceedingly abundantly above whatever we could ever ask or think. And know that you have the opportunity to walk on this earth and be his representative. One of my friends calls me the autism ambassador. And so we are all God's ambassadors. And
Yes.
whatever he has placed in us, whatever gifting he's put in you, do not hold it to yourself because
Mhm.
one day he's going to ask you what you did with what he gave you. And you're not going to be able to give the excuse of, hey, well, I had this diagnosis. He's not going to care. He's going to ask you what you did with what he gave you.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And oftentimes he'll give you that nudge, which is a nudge that says, you've done your work here. It's time for me to move you forward. And it was interesting that this organization on Facebook came into my awareness, and I'm going to call it awareness. That's what we need to understand. Came into my awareness. Golden Girl Gang is a group of women, which let me tell you, I think a large part of them are also part of the spectrum, part of the neurodiversity family, because we all seem to have the same thing. Some are known and some may not know who they are yet. And that's okay. We are not here to label anybody else. And that's an important thing. We don't label anyone else. We help them come to an awareness of who they are. God didn't say this one is here and that one is there. He said, these are my people.
Yes,
These are my
yes,
people. And he didn't start to separate us out. And when I go into my Golden Girl gang, no matter who they are, I treat them all with respect. And I
yes,
love that. And it's calling me to go to another part of the country to serve women who are in who want a neuro inclusive life, that want to be understood, that don't want to mask anymore, that want to be taken in and accepted for who they are. And that's where I'm headed. That's my nudge. What is your nudge in life? What is that little small voice saying to you? It's time to move.
that's
It's
right.
time to move.
Right. That's right. For such a time as this, it reminds me of the story of Queen Esther. And if she had just stayed to herself and just cared about herself, a whole group of people would have perished. The Bible says, because of a lack of knowledge, the people perish. And so it is so important for us to gain knowledge, to gain understanding, acceptance of how God made us, because we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And we look at a piece of pottery and sometimes we might see a little imperfection here or there, but God doesn't look at it as an imperfection. That is how he wanted it to be made. We look at our fingerprints, they're unique to us. So
Mm-hmm.
we are unique to the body of Christ. And so he needs every one of these members because they create the totality of the body. And so again, if you don't get anything else out of this conversation today, understand that God purposed you to be just who you are for this time and space and this place, and he has a work for you to do. So don't sit on your duff. Get up and do something. Do something, do something, do something. And if you need a community, just like you said, the Golden Gang, find a community. There are people out here like your host and I that are saying, you know what? I want to pour into people just like me who are going through what I am going through, who are experiencing the challenges. And I think of it in terms of this: we have to have fellowship. A ship can be a vessel. It is something that sometimes, you know what, we might get some cracks in it and some water might begin to leak through. And you know what, sometimes you might need somebody in your ship that can help you bail that water out before you begin to sink. And so that is why community is so, so important. Don't allow yourself to isolate. The word of God says that Jesus, the good shepherd left the 99 for the one. And so he is willing to leave the 99 for just you. And so find community wherever you can.
Absolutely. There are people out there. Chosen family are not biological family.
Amen.
Chosen family are those who will stand by you in the good times and in the hard times. If you have someone who only wants to be around you in the good times, just be aware of that. Don't push them off. They may be unaware of themselves. They may be unaware of what they can do to help you. Sometimes you need to voice it. I would love help here. And then they might say, oh, I know how to do that, or I know someone who can help you do that. Now, so don't push people away. Let them go away if they don't feel like they're the right people for you. But there is no reason to say, well, this person doesn't like me and that person doesn't like me. They just aren't aware of who you are yet.
Yes, that is so good. That is so good what you're saying, because a lot of times we don't talk about the fact that there are parents that leave children because they don't want to deal with their challenges. There are families that turn a blind eye. There are families that, as you said earlier, a lot of times they kick the can down the road. They see things that they see the lump in the rug, but they just want to act as if it doesn't exist. And so it is so important. It is so important that you know who you are as an individual, that you find out, you know, we talk about faith, that you find out who you are, that you're made in God's image. So apparently God was okay with, you know, us to have our gift abilities, you know.
Mhm.
And so we are made in his image. He handcrafted you. You are one of his special servants. And so don't forget that as you go through your day to day. Find a community. I love how you shared that family is not always blood. Find community somewhere. Part of my story is 10 days after my sons were born, my father passed away. Then about a year or two later, I go through my own health crisis. And then here I was caregiving for my mother, who would eventually pass away of cancer as well. So I didn't have a family. I didn't have a lot of relatives to help. Some, as someone said to me, some will and some won't. And so when the ones that will, that's great. But when the ones that won't, you have to find it somewhere else. Find a village. My village now consists of people who don't look like me, you know. So find that group, find that those helpers. I say people should have a Fav 5. You know, if you can find 5 people, great. I couldn't find 5 people. But I encourage people to at least find 3 people, someone that's in what you're going into or what you're dealing with, someone that's gone through it, and someone who is willing to step alongside of you and help you. You know, whether that is a Facebook group, whether that's a church group, whether that's meeting someone, that's your children's teachers. Find someone, you know, the little old lady down the street, the neighbor. Find someone that when you feel like I just am overwhelmed by life, you can trust in them to come and help you carry that load.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yes. I don't know where I would be without my mentor, who I got certified through her organization, Brave Thinking Institute. She has been the light post for me, the lighthouse for me. And every time I felt like I was lost out at sea, I would keep on going back to her lessons and back to any recorded messages or anything, and I would find my focus again.
Yes.
And when you can find a mentor or a chosen mother or a chosen father, if you're a male and you need to have that, we're not going to replace our biological, but we are going to find those who can support us in
Yes.
a ways that our biological family may not have been able to. So we don't want to push our family out the door. I want to make that very clear.
Yes.
They still have a purpose. They taught you a lot of things, but they need to also understand that you're not going to be loyal to only to them either. So it's a give and take. You don't want to push them out, but they need to understand that they're not the be all and end all. You have a community in this world, and I want to remind you. The next time you're like, "Well, what does God have to do with it?" Take a breath.
Yes.
You cannot take a breath without His help.
That's right.
You are living because He has given you a breath. He's given you the heartbeat. You can't make your heart beat.
Yes.
That's God who put that heartbeat in you. And He can decide when that heartbeat has made a completed life. And that's important because I know there are a lot of women out there who feel like there's nowhere to go. Well, there is a way to go, but you need to find the people to go with.
Yes, 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 yes. I love that. And you know what I always think about is Jesus was being ready to be crucified. You know, even he had to have someone help him carry that cross, and sometimes we feel like, oh, I can handle it on my own. I'll be fine. Well, no, sometimes we need someone to come stand alongside us and say, you know what? I can help you with this. And to families, if you know of a family that is going through the challenges, the day-to-day challenges of raising a child that may have a disability, see what you can do. Maybe it is thinking outside of the box. Think about, maybe you could donate a gift card so that they don't have to cook that night. Take the load off of them whatever way you can. Sometimes it's creating a toiletry basket and saying, you know what, I know you guys are going to need these things, so here you go. Sometimes it's giving them a book of stamps, for a family that may have lost a loved one, and saying, you know what, I know you're going to have to send thank you cards. It is thinking outside of the box. We are to be the hands and feet of God. It is coming up with something that says, you know what, how can I help pour into this family? For those that they may need sensory items, go on Amazon, find something, send it to their house. Give them some hope and some peace in knowing that someone does truly care about them, because we know the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And if he can get us off by ourselves, feeling isolated, then he's won. But if we have community, that crowd of caring community that can come and stand alongside us, then we know that we're not alone.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I was going to even say sometimes when you have a disabled family member, it's hard to even get into your car and go get groceries. Go pick
Yes.
up the groceries, bring them back to them. And a lot of people don't want to take the charity. But you say, okay, fine. Let me at least go pick them up for you and bring them back to you, because I know that just getting into the car can be a monumental problem, not a problem, a challenge.
Yes.
I like to get away from the word problem.
Yes.
There are no problems. There are challenges for you to
Yes.
overcome. And maybe it's not time for you to get in the car now, but a neighbor down the street can go to the local Walmart or grocery store or wherever and bring the groceries to you. There's also delivery. Don't forget that you have resources that we can help you find. If you can't find them yourselves, we can help you find resources to make your life run smoother. This is all about, Tiffany and I have been saying, this is not about going it alone.
Yes.
First you have God, then God created other people to be his servants to help you.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And even to the caregiver, again, we know the challenges that you face. Don't feel like you have to do it alone. Understand that, hey, we have not because we ask not. So we have to begin to ask. We have to put aside our pride and say, you know what? I need help. And sometimes that's the best prayer we could ever pray, to saying, I need help. And being sincere about that, because I remember being at that point in life when life was weighty, and it was like, God, I need help. I don't care where you send it from, what it looks like, I need help. And understanding that you have to give yourself grace each and every day. We have to give ourselves that grace.
That is so perfect, Tiffany, because I was just about to say that brings us right back to the title of our program today, Extra Grace Required.
Yes.
When you accept help, you are not being a charity case.
Yes.
No, you're not a charity case. When you ask for help, it's because you're saying, I'm carrying a load on my shoulders that's a little bit more than I can handle right now. Extra grace is being kind to yourself. I can't do this right now, but I know people who can help me. That's not talking down to yourself. That's accepting that you need extra grace to say to yourself, I have a full plate right now. I would love some help. And then don't say to yourself, I should be able to do it myself. No,
Mhm.
extra grace is all about accepting help.
Yes, yes, yes. And I call that the superhero syndrome. And I I had that superhero syndrome. And what will happen is you will succumb to the superhero syndrome, and it will cause that weight to become even more progressive, and you start to see your health fail, your mental capacity diminish. So we don't want to see you go through that. We want to see you get the help, put the mask on yourself as you are caring for your loved one, your child, your grandchild. We want to make sure that you get some oxygen so that you can
Mhm.
continue to breathe and take that gift that she spoke of earlier, of getting to breathe each and every day and take a breath and just thank God for the gift of the day.
Absolutely. What a beautiful way to bring this in for a completion today. I think that people will start to be a lot more consider to themselves in
Yes.
how they speak, in how they accept help. You don't be so proud that you have
Yes.
to do it by yourself.
Yes, 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 yes. And the word of God says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. So speak life every day. If you're not able to walk right now, say I can't do it yet. If your child's not able to talk right now, say they can't do it yet. But it is leaving that bridge of knowing that, hey, they're not doing it right now, but I'm crossing that bridge. We're going to cross that bridge, and having faith. We only need a mustard seed of
Mm-hmm.
faith. That is the tiniest little seed, but it can grow and flourish and become something great. And so we want to challenge you to find greatness each and every day.
That is beautiful. I so want to thank you. This has been such an uplifting, and I hope all my listeners feel uplifted. I know there are some people who shy away from the spiritual side of life, but as I go through my practice as a coach, I like to call it that psychology and spiritual go hand in hand.
Yes.
You can't have one without the other. They
Yeah.
go together because without your life, there is no psychology.
Yes, yes, yes. And I just challenged people today. I am an author. My book is on Amazon. It is called Your Daily Ticket. It is a 31-day devotional. If you need help just getting started on how do I begin to look at my life, I share the good, the bad, and the ugly of my life. And then at the end, there are prayers so that you don't have to go this route on your own. You can just begin to, one day at a time, one devotion at a time, take one step at a time, and learn who you are, whose you are, and begin to find joy in everyday life. So again, I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you for the gift that you are to the world, and the joy that you bring to others, and just continue to do what you are doing, because it is changing lives.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. As one woman to another who knows the value of positive words, of positive help, of positive support, there's no way to go but over this bridge into society again. And allow yourself extra grace when you talk to yourself. Allow yourself extra grace that when people come up to you and they don't know how to respond to you, help them. I know you're great at this. Can you help me with this? And
Yes.
that is the way we're going to go forward in life with God's help. Is we're
Yes.
going to make these connections that are going to bring us all together. And Tiffany, you are a wonderful connection for me. I so
Yes.
appreciate everything you brought to my podcast today. And I want to thank my listeners for coming today. And I hope you enjoyed this episode because it really brings the warmth to my heart, and I hope it does to yours. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful day.
Bye-bye. Go get God.
There we go. Thank you, Tiffany. And I will send you the replay. Thank you so much. I hope you all have enjoyed this on YouTube. If you have any questions for Tiffany, please go to the Aspie Bridge Show on Facebook. And I hope you subscribe for future episodes of the Aspie Bridge. Thank you for coming today.
Bye-bye.